Hi there. Welcome to part 6 of Addiction 101 for Family Members. I'm Tom Harrison, author of The Complete Family Guide to Addiction. Today is going to be the first of several segments in which we talk about what you, as a friend or family member, can do to help to get an addict into treatment and into recovery. Now, unfortunately, there's no magic answer. There's no simple solution, and addicts tend to get better on their timetable, not on your timetable. Nevertheless, there are things that can be done. You may remember in a previous segment we talked about the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that makes decisions. It has a kind of cost-benefit scale. And this part of the brain in the disease of addiction becomes impaired. It does not work well, at least with regard to the use of substances. Now, the good news is it's not broken. It still works, it just doesn't work well because it's as though there's always an unfair weight on the benefits side of the scale when it comes to substances. But an addict will stop using if the costs outweigh the benefits in their mind. Now, you may have heard it said that addicts won't stop until they hit bottom, which conjures up images of being on Skid Row and being lying in a gutter somewhere and being utterly destitute and so forth. That's really not true. Addicts will stop using as soon as the costs outweigh the benefits in their mind, which might be then, but it might also be long before anything like that happens. It's really just a question of when the costs outweigh the benefits. And this brings us to the topic of enabling. Enabling is any behavior we engage in that makes it easier for the addict to be an addict. So, for instance, if you blame other people for the addict's behavior, if you make excuses to friends and family for what they do, if you clean up their messes, if you pay off their debts, if you give them money that you know will be used for drugs, if you drag them into bed when they pass out, if you call in sick at work for them, if you accept abusive behavior from them, if you take over their responsibilities in any way, things they should do for themselves. All of these things are examples of enabling. They make life easier for the addict. Now, enabling is the most natural thing in the world, right? If you love someone, you want to protect them. You want to help them. If you see that they have an addiction and they're suffering and all kinds of bad things are happening to them, you want to help. You want to take away these negative natural consequences of their actions. It's perfectly natural. But unfortunately, it has a very bad effect, which is that it teaches the addict that they can keep using and nothing bad is going to happen. All the negative problems are going to be taken away by you, right? And that's exactly what you don't want them to be teaching, because every time you take away a negative consequence, every time you do something that amounts to enabling, you're taking weight off the cost side of the scale, which makes the benefit side of the scale that much more likely to lead to the addict using. So a very good way to start helping an addict toward treatment and toward recovery is to stop enabling and to allow them to experience the natural consequences of their behavior. Now, this is difficult to do because we love this person. We want to help them. We want to take care of them. It's extremely counterintuitive to not enable, to let them wake up on the floor because they passed out, to let them miss something important to them because they passed out and slept through it, or to not pay their bills and experience the consequences of not paying their bills, etc. It's very hard to do. It's very counterintuitive, but it's the way to allow the costs to outweigh the benefits. Now, not enabling is an art form. It's difficult. In part, it's difficult because it goes counter to everything we feel about someone we love, but also because you always have to draw the line and be reasonable. So, for instance, Letting someone get drunk and drive, well, they may experience the natural consequences of their actions, but the natural consequences of their actions may be that they severely injure themselves or severely injure someone else. So you have to draw the line at some point and say, okay, that's not a natural consequence I should accept. And where you draw that line is difficult. And it also depends on your relationship to the addict. If you have a child who's an addict and you allow them to not pay their bills, they may experience natural consequences. But if you have a spouse and they don't pay your bills, you will experience negative responses to that as well. So you have to, it's always a question, where you draw the line and about enabling. But I think just asking the question, am I enabling? Am I helping this person to be an addict? Is very, very important and is a real step forward to changing your behavior in a way that will change the way this person perceives the world and then moves them toward treatment. One last point is that not enabling is very different from punishing. Right? With an addict, you could punish them. You could say, well, you did this, so I'm going to do this to you. That doesn't necessarily work because it will often make the addict defensive and angry and kind of give them an excuse to keep using because they're so upset, blah, blah, blah. Not enabling is not punishing. Not enabling is just stepping aside, getting out of the way, and letting the addict experience the results of their behavior. And one of the side benefits of have policy of not enabling the addict is that they can't get mad at you because you didn't do anything to them. They really can't get angry at you because they slept through something they care about. That's just the result of their actions, right? So, or waking up on the floor. They can't get mad at you because you didn't do it to them. They did it to themselves. So that's one of the benefits of not enabling is that you don't have to be the bad guy. You're just letting the person experience what they experience. Now, in our next segment, we're going to talk about self-care. That means care for you, not your care for the addict, but your care for yourself, which is a very important and very, very frequently overlooked element of how to move an addict toward treatment. It's surprising, but you'll see. So I hope you'll join me for that. Thank you so much.